Hi, my name is Bata Lipska and I'm DevRel here at Trilitech. And today we're going to talk with Andrew from Goldsky about Etherlink and the Goldsky collaboration. Hi, Andrew. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you again.
Yes, of course. Thanks for having me on. Very excited to be here today.
So today we're going to have like a very, very nice and fruitful conversation about high-level overview on our collaboration, but also let's try to keep it very, very simple. And imagine I'm a 5-year-old person, and please try to explain to me what Goldsky is and what can I do to implement Goldsky into my sandpit.
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, if you're a 5-year-old looking into indexing, quite the prodigy right there. Very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, at the end of the day, what we're trying to do is really simplify access to on-chain data. So right now, for example, if a developer wants to build out a project and they want to utilize on-chain data, if they were to look directly onto the chain and they were to try and extract any kind of on-chain events or block data, transaction information, it's very slow and very difficult to understand exactly what you're looking at when you look directly on the chain. There isn't a way to be very efficient about it. It's not as quick to receive that data. So essentially what Goldsky does is we try and make it so that on-chain data is accessible in a very streamlined way, and so that it's very easy to use it for either analytics purposes or for creating an app that is based on-chain activity. And so essentially at the end of the day, that's what indexing is here for. It's to basically create this data structure that is very easy to query, and it just makes sense of on-chain data in a way that is an efficient manner and easily digestible, so that if there's an app that depends on real-time data or any kind of latency-based application where speed does matter, having that efficiency of being able to query in a very, customizable way, that's kind of where we come in to just, take away that overhead cost of maintenance and all the work required to index. And we just kind of make it easy for developers to do that.
Cool. So let's maybe forget that I'm a 5-year-old person
Okay.
and I'm like, let's say 20-year-old person and I want to start building stuff on blockchain and I'm super excited about things, but I don't really have like a much software engineering experience. I want to get the on-chain data. I want to build an app, but what sort of tooling I can use from Goldsky to incorporate into my little project? I know that there's a mirror and the other one, which is called
Subgraphs.
Subgraphs. So I pretty much know how can I use both of them, but if you could explain to our audience one by one what's the difference between them and what is more suitable for, let's say, low-code person and without any sort of established project, or maybe for someone that is like having issues getting the on-chain into their own, I don't know, project that already exists, for example, into the database. So I'm all yours.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it'll be helpful to kind of break down, what the various products Goldsky offers are and, when it might make sense to use one over another. The two primary products, we've got Subgraphs and Mirror. Now, a really simple way of kind of understanding what they do is you can look at it this way. Subgraphs are essentially, you're looking at this on-chain data and you're pulling it and you're basically querying the kind of information you want. So let's say you want to take a look at a certain dApp and you want to see the liquidity of the pools in there, or you want to see who are the types of people that have wallets connected, what kind of transactions are they making, and you want to query this information and have better insights into this user activity. So you can use Subgraphs to essentially pull that information, and there's a GraphQL endpoint that you can call, and that allows you to just really effectively be efficient and strategic about the kind of information you're pulling. So Subgraphs in Goldsky can be deployed in a couple ways. We kind of make it so that you have flexibility on how you want to use it. So let's say you're a pro developer, you're very familiar with Terminal. We have the Goldsky CLI where you basically go in there, it's like a very code-friendly type of almost matrix looking vibe, right? It's like if you want to plug in and you just want to lock in and do your thing as a coder, there's the CLI. Now, you don't necessarily have to be a guru expert, and you can just actually use the Goldsky web app. So what that offers is very easy ways to deploy a subgraph. We even offer what's called an instant no-code subgraph, where essentially you're opening up the app, you choose the data that you want, and there's a very simple flow that just walks you through it. There's a guide with, cool visuals to basically help you do that within the Goldsky webpage. So you don't even need to know how to code, and you don't necessarily have to be an expert developer to do that. So subgraphs are a really great way to just get you that information you're looking for, efficiently query it, and minimize costs as far as what indexing would be and just maintaining that kind of infrastructure. Now, another really cool product that we have, it's called Mirror. Now, Mirror is very interesting. It's similar to subgraphs. However, in a sense, with subgraphs, you're pulling the data. You can think of Mirror more kind of like you're pushing the data, where you're not just querying it and indexing the information you want, but you're also putting it into an existing database. So whether you're building currently with your project in, ClickHouse, AWS, Postgres, wherever you're currently hosting any kind of data right now, essentially what you can do is take that on-chain data, transform the query to be the exact kind of information you want, and then put that into your database. And that can be very effective if maybe you're combining information from multiple chains or multiple different smart contracts, or maybe you're even combining off-chain data with on-chain data, and you want to query it all in one place. Mirror is very, very efficient and fast for that. And that can be a great way to, let's say you want to plug into the back end of your app and you want certain actions to happen based on-chain events, then it can just, very quickly just be sent to your database, and then you can build your app based around that. And what's very cool with pipelines, similar to subgraphs, how, we've got the CLI where you can go through the builder, do the code solution, really get specific. Or we recently released this feature, which I think is very awesome. Props to the product team. It's called Flow, where it's basically a pipeline builder with like this graph looking visual where you basically drop boxes for the source, what kind of chain you want, what kind of data you want, how you want to modify it, and then where you want the sink to be. And the sink is the database of your choice. So it's almost like this diagram builder, and it's a visual experience, also no code. So there's a way to really, access these tools regardless of your skill set, whether you're just starting out and you want something more visual that's kind of guiding you along the way. Or if you're a pro, you already know exactly what you want, you can just dive right into the CLI. And so it kind of really just fits whatever your needs are. But, TLDR, to sum it up, essentially, you've got subgraphs, pull that data, query what you need, or you've got Mirror pipelines to basically take that data, put it into your database, and query it from there.
Super cool. But tell me, do I have to write everything from scratch, like subgraphs, for example?
No, not necessarily. We actually offer what's called community subgraphs, where they're ready to go. You can just kind of leverage something that's already built. You can also just go into our docs, and there's some guides in there that walk you through. Also, a very interesting use case as well, too, talking to ChatGPT, right? Or any kind of AI tooling. You can ask it to help you kind of create a template or give you a guide on how to structure the formatting of your file or how to build out for the deployment. So it's really cool. I'm seeing a lot of people using AI here to basically, make it like an extension of their toolkit to really see what they can do. But yeah, and on top of that too, we've got a really good support team where if people are ever trying to figure it out, they don't necessarily know where to start, or they did start, but they want some guidance, feel free to reach out to our team anytime. And we have two really, really genius guys. We got John, tech services lead, Javi, solutions engineer. And these guys are always helping people on a one-on-one basis, giving personalized support, offering guidance on, what it is that they're trying to do and how they can do that. So there's a lot of ways to really figure out what your goal is and make it happen, whether it's our resources on our docs, the support team, tech services basically walking you through it, or leveraging AI, which a lot of people are now doing for basically every aspect of their life. It's getting interesting. So a lot of ways to build out.
Absolutely. All you need to have is just like a good idea and just try to build something and leverage the good tools like Goldsky. So tell me, what is, for example, what are you cooking at the moment? Is there like anything super exciting on your roadmap? Tell me more.
Yeah, of course. I think a really big thing is we're constantly always trying to streamline the developer experience, right? So as people are using our product, we're always trying to take in the feedback and figure out, okay, which part of this page can be maybe more explicitly clear on what it's doing. So I would say a lot of what we're doing over the next year is optimizing the product itself to just make it easier to use, more clear, constantly adding more chains, such as you guys. We're always trying to increase our support and our networks to just make it, as easy as possible for developers to create the product they want using the chains they want. But we're also looking into, the AI space. it's a very fast changing space. There's all these agents, there's all these chatbots, there's all these, autonomous tooling, and it's very interesting to see where that's going. So that's something we have our eye on. We're not yet 100%, solidified on the path we're going to take. There's multiple avenues we're taking. We're exploring conversations with a lot of customers, but there's no doubt AI is going to be here to stay, and agents are going to be using on-chain economies without a doubt. One thing I think about is, let's say there's AI agents and they want to move money internationally, right? I have a hard time believing they're going to spin up a bank account and try and send a Western Union transfer, right? That's just too slow and not likely. I mean, it's not even a person, right? You probably need an ID to make a bank account. So AI agents are not going to use traditional finance rails. They're all going to use probably stable coins or, Ethereum, Bitcoin, certain assets all on chain, because AI agents can spin up a wallet. It's faster, it's cheaper. They can look on chain explorers and see, what is happening behind the scenes. So it's a very clear opportunity to basically provide data maybe to AI tooling, right? So we don't yet know how. We're thinking about it. We've got ideas. We're building out some prototypes. But that's definitely a sector that we're looking at because, it's pretty clearly growing in Web3. Everyone's talking about AI agents. It's no secret that, it's something people are interested in. So that's something that I think is going to be a very cool place to watch. That Web3 gaming, classic DeFi. I mean, there's so many verticals in this industry. That's what makes it a fun jungle to play around in, right?
Yeah, it sounds so beautiful when you said like a classic DeFi. It feels like, we're a kind of retro now because we use like a classic DeFi stuff. But absolutely, I do agree. The future is very, very AI driven and, kind of like the fear of missing out is strong. But I think the great strength of Goldsky is the possibility to automate things for not only AI agents, but let's say I'm like a regular, let's say John Doe from the street, and I want to use, I don't know, Goldsky for my own purposes, let's say, yeah? And I have like a wallet, of course, on Etherlink, yeah? And for example, what can I do with it? Like I'm a very simple person. I can build something or just make a good use of Goldsky. How?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let's say, for example, there's a developer who doesn't necessarily want to build like a really big project, something crazy. They just want to make some kind of fun thing for themselves. Let's say, for example, they're tracking NFTs or they're tracking certain tokens and they want to figure out, okay, what's the movement happening? What are people doing? How do I stay on top of it real time? Because a lot of time when people are trading or they're trying to research something, timing matters and being first to something is important. So let's say there's a developer who wants to make some kind of app or some kind of Telegram bot where they want to react to something happening on chain. So let's say you follow a smart contract to see, okay, this is when this asset moves, or this is when this NFT has just been transferred, or, this liquidity pool has just increased its size of TVL. And so anything that, requires that real-time aspect for on-chain data, you can just make some kind of tracker, some kind of dashboard, or even an app where it sends notification, a Telegram bot that messages you, right? So essentially, this kind of real-time data unlocks the ability to be fast and react quickly because latency does matter for a lot of things. Of course, it's very important for a dApp to have real-time data, accurate information, a big protocol to be, very secure, very reliably true with the information it shows. But even just for something as simple as a developer who just wants to stay on top of the trends and see what's happening, you can have this real-time data accessible and just make something for yourself that just allows you to just unlock this instant super speed to give you those, clear eyes to make good decisions better, faster.
Yeah, for example, for some thinkers or solo builders, I think it's a great tool. And when there is a need, there's always a solution. And I think it's a great way of using the on-chain data to get the live insights from many chains, not only from Etherlink, but Etherlink is the one that we support, me as a DevRel, and so yeah, you as a partner. Tell me like about the partnership itself and why it's a perfect match.
Yeah. So, we're constantly adding new chains. We're adding support for, whatever we think makes sense. And actually, a couple of our customers were asking us to support Etherlink. They were saying, we think it's a really cool chain. Do you support it? And when the answer was no, they're like, all right, what do we need to do to make that happen? And so it was a very easy decision, right? Because especially you guys are EVM compatible, it was very quick to set up. Your team is awesome to work with. Essentially, no friction onboarding you guys. And it was a very no-brainer decision to support Etherlink, right? I mean, as soon as even a couple of people wanted support for it, that was enough for us. So yeah, it was really cool to just see that kind of demand from a couple customers. And it was, very natural progression to add you guys. And yeah, I'm just excited to see where the ecosystem goes because it's always interesting as all these new L2s come around and just new ecosystems grow. It's very interesting to see their approach for how they grow the community, how they teach people about the tech, how they differentiate. And from what I've seen so far, your team is doing a very good job at doing that. So I'm excited to just work together and see how can we support the developers? How can we teach them? How do we meet them where they're at and understand what problems are they trying to solve? Where can we make it easier for them to build out projects? And, just kind of working together to make it a more, space with real use cases.
Yeah, so I think this is kind of naturally leading us to next episode of Etherlink and Goldsky collaboration, because we have a very, very high level overview on what Goldsky is, how we can use it. But maybe next step would be a small use case that we can highlight with one of your lovely engineers. And I think it's a good call to stay tuned for more on Goldsky and Etherlink.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. That sounds great. Yeah, for everyone out there listening, I think the next stop is we're going to do some kind of workshop together where we're going to dive into how to deploy Subgraph, how you can create a pipeline, what are some easy tricks to basically get the exact data you need and, customize it to fit exactly what your project or app or use case needs. And yeah, I'm excited to see you all there. We'll definitely do some cool stuff.
And in the description down below, you will have some extra goodies from Etherlink and Goldsky. So please double check what's in the description. And yeah, I think see you next time.
Great. Well, thank you for having me on. I'll talk to you later.
Thank you, Andrew. See
All
ya.
right. Bye.
Bye.